Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the She Who Dares podcast. I'm Crystal Wilson, and today I have an incredible woman who's joining us on the podcast who I'm interviewing. We have Danni Vee from Danni Vee Coaching. Welcome to the podcast, Danni.
Thank you so much, Crystal. It's such an honor to be here.
Welcome to the She Who Dares podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Wilson, the founder of She Who Dares. I'm a specialized breakthrough and mindset coach, business mentor, online course creator, and your number one no BS hype woman. I'm here to remind you who the fuck you are and reignite your personal power through powerful and expanding conversations on all things business, mindset, and energetics, to help you break through to your next level of success in all areas of your life, business, and bank account. Each episode is designed to expand your mind, shift your identity, raise your frequency, as well as give you success strategies to help you step into your highest, most powerful, abundant, successful, and magnetic you. So, I dare you to join me each episode, and I double dare you to implement what you learn and go all in on you. All in on your life, your business, your success. Because if you do, like so many of my She Who Dares clients and students, you will become everything that you know deep down you can be. Ready? Let's friggin' do this.
I want to give our listeners some context because our journey and story and how we're even here, 6 years later, is so interesting. So Danni and I have been connected since late 2019. I'm not even sure how that initial connection.
No.
You remember?
No, I had no idea.
Somehow you've connected. And Danni actually signed up to do some really deep identity breakthrough work with me, which is the work that I'm most known for. And that was in 2020. And then we actually worked together privately. You're a private client for about 12 months. And then we finished up in early 2021. And I have just kind of watched you over the past 4 years go on to become, build, and create everything that you told me you wanted. And it's been such an honor and privilege of just watching you do it and become it. It's been amazing. And so I'm interviewing you today, but selfishly, we haven't caught up in ages. I've watched you from afar, but I'm so curious. Danni Vee, what the fuck have you been up to? You have just been trailblazing and achieving everything that you told me you wanted in 2020. So could you please, I know that's such a broad, ambiguous question, tell me everything you've been up to.
I think. Wow. Well, I think how you're talking about how you see me trailblazing and creating exactly what we were talking about and working on together is a big factor of that is I was brave enough to look in the mirror and look at all my ugly bits. And, because I've been doing identity work for a very, very long time, I started way back when, even NLP wasn't even known when I was doing NLP and all of that type of thing. But I never actually looked at the ugly bits in the mirror. And then when I started doing that, that's when things started shifting and I started believing in myself and what I was capable of and actually being who I want to be so then I can support other women to step into that same area instead of judging myself so harshly.
I love that. I always say the most important work you'll do, which most would avoid, is sit up to the mirror and face your own bullshit.
And it's the hardest too.
Yeah. It's hard, which is why most people don't do it. But that's why coaching and mentorship is so powerful because you have somebody who can guide you through that process and create a safe space, calling you out on your bullshit. It's that's where quantum leaps happen. And you have absolutely quantum leaped. So what I can see, I don't know if I'll be able to do this forever, but I keep everyone's file. When I was let's do a podcast swap, let's interview each other, I was I am pulling out your file. Exactly, because I've seen it play out on social media. but I was like, I want to go back and I want to read where you were, like when we started. And when we connected in late 2019, 2020, before you became a client, then you had built already a successful brand, a successful business with My Fit Tribe as a thing.
And that's one of the things that's really interesting with me for that, Crystal, and what I recognized recently is I didn't acknowledge that. I didn't acknowledge how good I am at building a brand, because My Fit Tribe is still very well known, like in the area that was run, and it was always the go-to business for mums and fitness and things like that. But I never recognized that. I still do a little bit of it, but I ran that as a full-time business for 10 to 15 years, never recognized the influence that I had because I didn't have that identity work.
Oh, that a successful brand, incredible community, and already showing. I know that was such a big thing that you did, and then you wanted that next level. Do you know what I mean? The next thing, and working with women in fitness and coaching, I can imagine that you saw the gap in the mindset, the identity work, which is that you've been following the breadcrumbs, and then you launched Danni Vee. But what's super interesting is when we did our call in 2019, your goal was, I have a successful business, My Fit Tribe. I built it. I can have got like 10 years in my notes. And I remember the community that you had built on that brand that you'd built. And you had this big goal to launch Danni Vee Coaching in 2020. And even though breakthrough work is predominantly identity, releasing the limiting beliefs and stepping into your higher power. When I go through our notes, which is so interesting, is that we more of a hybrid, because you were building out courses, challenges, we were planning launches. So I was really interesting. I forgot about that. I forgot that it was more of like this hybrid experience, also helping you to launch your business.
Yeah, and Danni Vee's come so far, because when I launched it, I still was doing the identity work. So what Danni Vee was back then is 100% not what it is now, because I'm so certain of who I am, who I serve, what my mission is, what my values are, and, what I want to actually create with the Danni Vee brand as well. Yeah, it's just been such a journey.
I love it. Now, something that you shared with me on a very first call together was your goal. And something that I love about you, Dani, is that you can cast a vision, you can hold a vision, and you are able to really make shit happen. You shared with me that you were a fitness coach who had built a brand, who built a community, and you're a well-known, sought-out coach, speaker. That was one of your goals, and you've absolutely become a speaker, thought leader in the online space, and you wanted to be selling out your work. At that point, you were using language like workshops and retreats, but now you've got memberships and masterminds, and becoming that, building that 7-figure legacy business of empowering women. And a lot of the language when we were building out your first launches and your first programs, empower within is actually the name of the first thing that you wanted to create, which is so amazing. I've got literally in my notes us building out the session and what you wanted to create. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah, it's just so brilliant. And it's really interesting because in Power, it just kept on not sitting with me, right? So as I really understood who I was and what I wanted to bring to my community, I'm just Empower is just like everybody else. Everybody uses the word empower. What does it mean? And so now my framework is actually EMBODY. And it has specific, pillars to it. So it's energy, mindset, body, ownership, direction, and you. So I know exactly how that works. And in every program that I develop, every keynote that I do, it always refers back to that framework, EMBODY, and it makes it so easy. And I think that's where that, evolution of having empower within, EMBODY does that, but it wasn't actually showing what it was capable of for my clients.
I love that. And you know what I love about that, looking at the evolution of the different programs and things that you've built, is starting with empowered, and now you've built out your own signature framework, which is EMBODY. And, what's really interesting when I look at our very first notes and who you were and where you were sitting and what you were holding, all that kind of stuff that you were carrying with you, you're really a woman who has walked that walk. And we've spoken about this before, but I really believe that what makes you a great coach, a great mentor, is of who you have been, what you have overcome, and who you are now. And I think this is something that I share a lot in my own story. I always say, if you're watching me now, you don't know shit about shit. I want you to know where I've come from, the work I've had to do, what I've overcome. When you know that full story, that's when you know how powerful I am. That's when you can trust in me. And so I want to share with you some of the things that you shared with me in our very first call. But this is also such an important piece because it, like, people who are watching you now, Danny, will probably be like, what? Like, it would be unbelievable for them to think that there's an old version of you thought this about herself. Because now when I watch you, you are an empowered, embodied, powerful thought leader. And so I want to share with you what you shared with me in our very first call.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. So I think you'll be like, this is quite jarring, but it's so
Yeah.
you described yourself as being in a really bad place, having no confidence. That's just wild for me because you are so confident and so grounded in who you are now. And you really felt like an imposter. And I think that was because you had built something, you weren't giving yourself credit for what you'd already built. And you wanted the next thing, but there was all of these beliefs and patterns and this old stuff in the way of you getting to the embodied piece, right? Of like owning your power. And you really struggled to like really see yourself and see your power back then. And when I look at you now, I can just see the astronomical growth that you have had to go from a woman who felt like no time, can't do it, I can't be successful, I don't have the confidence, I don't believe in myself, to the version of you that you are now. Tell me about like what has shifted for you in the past 6 years when I read that back to you.
Yeah, I think the identity piece is really strong in the sense that I didn't know who I was when we first started working together. And like, you know, for the listeners, when I talk about there's ugly bits, and Crystal said, you know, you don't know my journey until you know, like I remember there was this one time when I hit rock bottom in our coaching calls and I was sitting outside my studio because I didn't want anybody to hear what I was talking about in my house, which was crazy because my husband and I have such a great relationship now. But then I'm like, I don't want him to see how vulnerable I'm being. And I was sitting outside my studio, literally bawling my eyes out, like uncontrollably. I couldn't hold myself together. I was just like, you know, the transition was starting to happen. And because I didn't recognize the success I had, because even before the fitness business, I ran a really successful piano teaching organization and I was in Catholic primary schools. I had my own studio. Like I was massive, but I didn't acknowledge that either. And it wasn't probably until the last few years where it all started dropping in. And then I was coaching people on a higher level as well. And those coaches out there that really do that deep work, you expand and grow with every single client that you work with as well, because, you know, you're going through that guidance with them, you're going through those processes and you learn. And so I feel that because I've really stepped into this Danni Vee brand and I have had to actually be that future self, it's just easy for me to stand up and speak about what I am passionate about. Back then, I wasn't thinking about being my future self. Very much, and this is something that I'm so against, is fake it till you make it. And I was very much that person back then. Just fake it till you make it. You'll be right. Just get through it. Like, just go through it. Just don't feel your feelings. Just fake it till you make it. And that's probably the turning point, Crystal. It wasn't until I recognized that by faking it till you make it, and I've had so many clients that come to me and they've lost their identity, is because they've been faking it till they make it. They are successful in what they do, but they don't even know who they are anymore. They don't see that success. So until I started being who I needed to be in that next level, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I love that. I think faking it till you make it, it's kind of like manifestation. If you talk about manifestation without taking the actual action, it's just a focus.
Yes.
And faking it till you make it, you know, I love teaching, like, well, who do you need to become in order to achieve what you want? It's like the number one question that I'm always asking my clients.
Absolutely.
And that is an essence of faking it till you make it, because you need to get clear on what are her actions, how does she show up, how does she think, live, breathe, do, and then be that version of yourself now before you actually have the tangible results. It's the only way to get the tangible results. I love that. So I feel like when we just use language like fake it till you make it, or you can just manifest it without the nuance and the context of like, what does that actually look like? Like even the word empower and embody, it's used a lot in the industry, but there's a lot of context that needs to, what does that actually mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
And when I think about being empowered and embodying the highest version of myself or the next level version of myself, it's about the uncomfortable work of pulling the seat up to the mirror and facing our fucking bullshit, calling ourselves out, being responsible. And what is evident, and this is why you are great at what you do and you are the perfect person to teach what you teach, is because you have walked that journey from going from a disempowered version of yourself. And it sounds like potentially there was a lot of that it's not enough mindset happening. Like it doesn't matter how much success you had, how big your brand was, how big the community was, how big the piano business was. It just never felt enough. You were always chasing the next thing or wanting more, which is a really common. It's like
it's so common for high achieving women.
Yeah.
And just celebrating where you are, like stopping and being present is another big shift that I've had. And I really love what you said before, Crystal, about manifestation and aligned action. I often speak about a story that I explained to my husband because he's IT. So he's learning to think in the neuroscience world and understanding the embodiment and manifestation type of thing. And he'd hear me talking to my clients. He's like, that's a lot of rubbish. Like they just have to write it down and it happens. And I said to him, no, actually they're writing it down because, you know, there's science behind your brain will actually remember and embody it better when you write it down instead of even typing it and then reading it every day and then understanding the aligned action. So yes, writing it down starts the process of manifestation. But if you don't do any action, you're not going to get it. You're not going to achieve anything. So you have to be prepared to do the work, do the aligned action. One of my recent clients, she's like, you know what? One of the reasons I joined you is because I just wanted to understand what doing the work meant. And I said, oh, like, it's like doing the action. So you can't just sit there and sit back and hope that you're going to be successful and enjoy who you are. Because I think that's the deepest breakthrough, isn't it? Enjoy who you are and really love yourself and be your best friend because nothing else matters then.
Yeah, I love that. I actually wrote down before when you were talking about fake it till you make it. I was like, the truth is you actually just have to do the fucking work to become the version of yourself. It's in big capitals, do the work. So I love that. When you think about your journey and doing the work, to go from what I just read in our notes from 2019 to who you are now, what has that work looked like for you?
Oh, so many different layers. So I've invested in coaches, definitely. I have also invested in coaches that haven't been great and taken responsibility for that for myself. And that's another place where I realized I had grown because, you know, you invest in a coach and then, you know, I thought that coach was shit. Yeah, maybe that coach was shit, but I also chose to invest. So it's a two-way street. I've also taken the time to understand myself. So journaling in the sense of setting intentions every day and then noticing when I have a recurring limiting belief, like how you said, you know, I always had such a belief of I'm never seen, like, and when I worked with you is I'm not chosen, like same thing, but different. So I'm not chosen turned into I'm not seen. Great for a person that speaks on stage. And then I saw that recurring thought. And so then once I recognized that recurring thought, then I worked with that. And I guess I'm privileged enough to, you know, have all of those skills to do that. And it really helped me to shift and change and be really observant of my behaviors and then shifting and changing that. Another thing that I did was I made sure I understood my intrinsic values. So I often talk about intrinsic and extrinsic values. So extrinsic value of mine is family, intrinsic is love and connection. So then what is my intrinsic values? What do I want to feel every single day? So then if I'm not feeling that, okay, what's misaligned? What is my aligned action to get back on track? And so that's really been some really big shifts and changes for me personally. In the business, I have trusted to bring in staff. So that was a big thing. Like I trust people to come in and run parts of my business. I've also allowed myself to make mistakes and that's fine. Like, you know, at the moment, I'm really shifting and changing what the business looks like again, because as you know very well, as you grow and expand what your products are, you grow and expand as well. And then with the business, because me really stepping into who I am, I've become a businesswoman. I'm not a people pleaser just running this side hustle that actually was multi-six-figure businesses all along, you know? So that's like lots of different layers in it, like in a very high explanation of it.
Amazing. So that's what the work has looked like. And I think what's really important as well is that the work actually never ends.
Yeah.
And I feel that often I see sometimes in my clients or just people in the online space kind of getting over, like I'm constantly working on myself. And I'm like, yeah, that's the fucking point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Everyone's like, what's the meaning of life? What's the journey of life? Like the journey of life is growth.
Yeah.
And if you stop moving and you stop challenging yourself and you become comfortable or you give up, you're not growing and you're not expanding into life. So doing the work is a never ending thing. And I think that like we're both testaments to that, but who you were in 2019 and every new level that you've achieved over the 6 years. And what you're saying right now is that you're going to your next level next. Do you know what I mean? Like the work doesn't end. What I'd love to know, Danni, is what has been over the past since breakthrough and you've built Danni Vee Coaching, you're now on stages, you're running masterminds, memberships, all the thing. Like I'm constantly seeing your name recommended in groups and I'm always like, oh my God, going down here, right? What has been some of the greatest successes so far for you in building Danni Vee Coaching?
My greatest success is I feel like I'm creating the impact that I've always wanted to create. So I've always wanted to have a really meaningful impact on leaders, entrepreneurs. Also, a really great success is I'm not afraid to ask for anything anymore. So I'm not afraid of the no at all. Like I will ask for questions. And a really great example of that is last year I went to my local council and I wanted to offer a female founders program and at a really reduced rate because I want to give back. When I first started out in business, I never had support. Nobody guided me. I did it all on my own. And it's probably why, I got to a point where I didn't even know who I am, never saw my successes. So I'm really passionate about female founders getting support now. And they said no. And so I was like, right, challenge accepted. And so then I just spoke about how passionate I am with it. And I really want to run this program. And then the High Rivers Chamber of Commerce went to get a grant. And now I'm running that in my region, exactly the same thing, but it's just not through council. So I've learned that if a door closes, look for the other one that's opening. And there's always going to be opportunities there. So that's been a really big shift for me as well. But I would say the biggest one is the impact and the opportunity of the impact that I can make now. And like we've said in conversations recently, like I feel like I'm on the edge of something else now and I just want to jump over it and make a greater impact again.
I love it. And what I love about that is that example that Danni just gave, like I'm always about reading between the lines, is that you're not waiting for opportunity to come to you, creating opportunities for yourself through leading yourself, through taking action. And the more that you lead yourself and you take action, the more opportunities can find you.
Absolutely.
That shift, which is super important.
And that radical responsibility, that's a big thing that I teach my clients and I speak about is radical responsibility is that ownership. So the O in my EMBODY is like, you are responsible for your success. So just lead yourself and others will follow. And if they don't, that's okay. Like being ready to be okay with that as well, which I really struggled with.
Well, I guess that's in itself growth because one of the wounds was visibility, not being seen, not being chosen. And so being able to lead yourself. And the truth is there actually is always going to be a period when you're leading yourself and no one follows. And it's in that place where you like want to quit because no one's cheering, you're getting no validation. It's when you can hold yourself through that discomfort that then people go, oh, she's fucking serious, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
So I love that. I love talking about successes, but what I love talking about way more is failure. I think that failure is the pathway to success. And I think that anyone can actually have success, but not everyone can experience failure, recover, and go and have success again. And so what I want to ask, I've just asked you what your greatest successes were. What have been some of your greatest failures that you've had to overcome?
Not listening to my body. So 2-3 years ago, I came down with chronic nerve pain because I was pushing so hard to build the business and I was knocked out for weeks and weeks. My mental health was atrocious during that time. And this is something that I've struggled with for a really long time as a whole friendship group wiped me because I was becoming this person on social media and was always sort of available on social media because it's my job. They took that as I wasn't, like, when I had my chronic nerve pain, I'm assuming that I wasn't available for them. So that was really hard. And that was a whole group of friends, not just one or two. The whole lot wiped me. And that's something that I think women should speak about more as well, is that, you know, you don't know somebody's story, so don't cut them out. Ask questions, ask if they're okay, that type of thing. So they were two big failures for me with myself. In the business, it would be trusting and getting sucked into the marketing of, you know, coaches and things like that. And it's been an expensive mistake for me. Very.
Which I think is such a rite of passage. Just like I always say, my failures have taught me more than my successes ever could. Even working with the wrong, because I've also made those decisions. And when we talk about radical responsibility, whenever I have made an investment and I'm working with the wrong person, it's 100% based in fear, lack of self-belief, like they answer. And maybe their marketing is positioning them like that. So it kind of like draws you in. However,
you're responsible. Yeah.
I've learned so much about who I want to be in business, my standard of operation, my level of service, and how I hold people, how I expand people from working with the wrong people.
Yes.
So much value in that as well. But there's a lot of people who can't take that level of responsibility and can't take the lessons from their failures and instead go around shitting on that person or bad-mouthing the industry. And I don't really vibe with that either, that whole victim mentality. Fucking big investments that have backfired, and it was 100% on me every time.
Yeah. Well, because it was your choice. You did the energetic transaction.
You look back, there was like something within you telling you.
And you can see.
Right? So it's like, that's what the lesson is.
You're just like, that was still running.
In hindsight now, I can
Thank
see
you. Yeah.
What do you want to be known for, Danni Vee? Like, if you had to sum it up in like, what do you most want to be known for? Where are you taking Danni Vee Coaching next, this legacy, this business that you're building? What do you want to be known for?
Yeah, so I want to be known for, and I actually really like create that shift changing for female business owners, but also leaders everywhere, so male and female, so that they can create this new world of, you know, compassion and strong, authentic leadership. The authenticity is such a key part for me, is that people, when they don't know their identity, they absolutely cannot be authentic. So really driving that home with my clients and even on stages. So you don't even have to be my client, but for people to listen and want to shift and change who they are and really get to know themselves. So our world can just be a much better place.
Amazing. And you are the embodiment of that work. I've got one last question for you. If you think back, I know it was some time ago, 2020, and a lot happened. I was like, we started working together in March 2020, like we were right in the depths of COVID as well. And I was thinking about my Fit Tribe and like what we must have been navigating, you know what I mean, with like COVID and not being able to do in-person sessions. There's a lot on there, but take me back. Like if you were to reflect back on the last 6 years and specifically us working together for a year and doing that deeper breakthrough work, and being reminding you of some of the kind of challenges that you're experiencing, what would you say have been your biggest shifts of doing that work over the past 6 years?
Yeah, so it's that ability to take the radical responsibility. So taking ownership for everything and every decision that I make and being able to sit in that uncomfortableness of it. There was a book that I read over the last 6 years. I don't know when I read it. It's called The Existential Kink. Have you read that?
No.
It's brilliant. It's so good. And it's about just holding up that mirror and how we get off on the things that are actually not serving us. So that's why we continue to do it. That would be a really big one. Another one is my drive and my passion to change the world. I really want to make a extremely large positive impact, not just nationwide. I want to be known now internationally for the person that can really shift and change the way that leaders and business owners think.
I love it. I love it. So, so good. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing all of your wisdom and your growth and everything that you have achieved. If people want to connect with you or follow you, where should they do that?
Yeah, definitely. They can go to dannivee.com or on socials, I'm Danni Vee Coach, so DANNIVEE. I also have a really great leadership identity survey. So if they just wanted to go to dannivee.com, /identity that gives you a personalized response. So it's not just a generic one. It'll actually personalize it to your answers as well. So that's something that you can maybe start learning about what your identity is. And it gives you one step to start shifting and changing that as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And it was so good to catch up with you and hear about everything you've been up to.
It's always an honor to be in your space, Crystal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. If you loved this episode, be sure to share that with me by leaving me a review, and head over to the She Who Dares official Instagram account at She Who Dares Official, hit follow, slide into my DMs, and share with me the impact this episode has had on you. And before you go, I'm going to leave you with this. The universe is responding to you. It is following your lead. You are the one who has to move first. And when you do, the whole universe will move with you, because it's I lead, the universe follows. When I move, the universe moves with me. That is our official She Who Dares mantra. I want you to write it down, put it on a mirror, and I want you to remind yourself of it every day. When I lead, the universe follows. When I move, the universe moves with me. When you follow this She Who Dares mantra, you are going to unlock the magic of the universe, and you are stepping into your most powerful self. I can't wait to see you for the next episode. Thanks for being here.